Hi guys! Welcome to my channel, Ellegoddesss Essentials. My name is Elle, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I got this cute little hairstyle on a braid out that I did. So starting with the braid out, I'm using this spray bottle filled with water and aloe vera juice just to moisturize and hydrate my hair. Then I'm going to use this thick moisturizer by TGIN. So now that I've misted my hair, I'm actually just going to separate it. I'm not going to use any combs to do this because it's a braid out and I don't want any harsh parts in my hair. So I'm leaving out enough hair to have 2 thick braids in the back. More water because even though this is a stretched style, hydration is so important. Now I'm adding some product that's going to help me gently finger detangle and get this section of my hair ready for a nice smooth braid. As I'm starting to braid, you can see that I'm not doing it tightly at all, and that's because I just don't want any tension on my scalp. Now I'm just braiding it as you normally would, but not too tight because I don't want it to come out very crinkly. As I get to the end, I'll just add a bit more product and twirl it around. As you can see, I'm constantly adding more water just to add more slip and hydration, and it makes it easier for me to detangle with this thick cream. When doing a braid out, I spend a lot of the time detangling and moisturizing just because that's the perfect base for any hairstyle, especially if you want it to be lasting. I like to make sure that my roots get a good stretch without braiding too tightly. As you're doing your braid, don't be afraid to add more product or add more water as you go along. I am braiding pretty far down to my ends, but at the very end I just twirl it. I'm just using my fingers to section off my hair, and that's because I don't want any harsh lines and it's just more gentle for my hair anyway. So for this section of my hair, I'm parting it off into 3 sections, the third one being at the top center of my head, and this is really going to help make sure that my parts are hidden in the back with that third section at the crown of my head. And it's going to give me more volume. Now that I have those 3 sections ready, I'm just going to braid them as normal, and here they are. So far I have only 5 braids and I'm ready to move to the front section. I gave myself a middle part off camera and I came back and added some more water and aloe vera juice. I like to detangle my hair with my fingers at a slanted angle, especially when I'm detangling it outside of the shower. I'm going to be turning this front section into 3 sections, starting with 1 above my ear. As you can see, this bottom one that I'm working on right now is a bigger section than the 2 that's going to be above, because the 2 that's above is going to be showing the most, so that's what I want to be the most defined. What I like about having thicker sections and thicker braids is that it stretches the hair more and it kind of hides your natural curl pattern to make it more into that braid pattern. I know you know how to braid, just make sure that you're smoothing your hair as you go and adding more product whenever you need it. I also realized that doing these braids is a really good opportunity to look after my ends and make sure it gets all the moisture it needs. Moving on to these top 2 sections that are going to be a bit smaller. I had a little bit of a tangle there, but you really want to make sure that you take your time and finger detangle and not just snag things apart. Add more water. Whenever I'm manipulating my hair, like sectioning it, detangling it, that's when it's most prone to breakage, so that's why I'm trying my best to be gentle with my hair. I feel like when we're working with our stretched hair or doing stretched styles, we can try to avoid water so that our hair doesn't really revert to its natural curl pattern. But really, water is going to help take the shape of the braid. It's going to help your hair mold better, and most of all, it's going to help your hair last longer, because as soon as your hair gets too dry, you're going to want to re-braid it or re-wash it. Don't get me wrong, I love wash and goes, but I also love braid outs because it allows me to keep my hair in braids for a couple of days, and I end up with day one hair in the middle of the week. I get away with leaving my braids in for a few days because once I put these braids into a low bun, no one can tell that I didn't perfectly part my hair. Moving on to the next section, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing as I did on the other side. Of course, adding more water and aloe vera juice, adding more product over the whole section, and each section individually. Section my hair, I usually have some curls sticking together, so just be careful to gently take them apart and get rid of any shed hair on your fingers. This is the amount I'm using for this front section, just smoothing that on from root to tip, and you're ready to start your braid. You don't have to be a good braider to do a braid out, but when doing the front section, make sure you do your best because it's going to be the most obvious, so you want it to be the most defined. What I really like about the product I'm using is that it has a lot of moisture as well as hold, so I only have to use one product. And I also like that it has protein in it because for my hair personally right now needs protein, so it's kind of like treating my hair while it's being styled. So all of the braids are done. I decided to just spray my hair a little bit more, make sure my edges are moisturized and just brushed back. The oil that's in here is not really what it says in the bottle. I made my own oil and added some herbs to it. So I'm just going to be using that to really get my scalp, all moisturized and get the vitamins and all of that stuff directly on my scalp. Yes, I'm styling my hair, I'm doing a braid out, but it's also a good time to really treat my hair and make sure that I'm getting that blood circulation. I think scalp massaging is important, especially for me because I don't brush or wash my hair every single day, so my hands are not in my hair. However, I still want my scalp to be stimulated. Alright, so now I'm completely done. I have all of the braids in my hair, and I'm just going to be pulling my hair back in a low ponytail. You can choose to take your hair out the very next day, or if you're not really doing anything but maybe running some errands, you can leave it in for a few days. Right now I'm just tying this down, getting ready for bed. I like to use scarves for wash and goes more than I like to use bonnets because it really lays the hair down. Okay, so a couple of days have passed and I'm ready to take my braids out of that low bun that I had it in. And the ends are a little bit crinkly, so I'm probably just going to spray it, add some oil, just to refresh everything. The oil will also make it look shinier and it will make it easier for you to take your braids down. I went ahead and took out one in the back and just working my way up onto this one. It's turning out pretty well. I'm just simply taking my time on braiding it. I personally don't like to fluff and separate until I'm done taking all the braids out. I am speeding this up, but you want to be gentle when taking down the braids so that you don't have too much frizz if that's not what you want. I love when I get to the front because that's when I get to really judge what kind of braid out I'm gonna have, how it's gonna look and shape my face. So I'm done taking this side out. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the rest off camera, but this is how it's looking so far. So my hair is out. This is how it's looking before I separated it. But as you can see, I'm just going through and seeing where there's like really thick, chunky pieces and separating it that way. But first, go through and make sure you actually took all the braids out, because I left one just sitting there. I like having that crown section braided because when you turn around, it pretty much covers up any parts that shouldn't be showing. As you can see, I don't really like to fluff too much on the first day, but I am going to be doing a cute little style. Very, very easy to do. Right now I'm just figuring out how much hair I actually want to have in those two little ponytails, but I like that I have these thin little scrunchies because I am making smaller ponytails, so it just makes it a lot easier. Having thinner scrunchies for these two front ponytails also help it stick out a bit less. My edges look done from having it in that braided bun, but I am gonna redo it. The edge control I used was the Style Factor, but interestingly enough, I broke out so bad from using that. I don't know if I used too much, but I really just think that there's some chemicals in there. So I'm on the lookout for a new edge control. It did work well, but it just broke me out for some reason. So here's the first little ponytail. I did end up going back and using bobby pins to stick the ponytail down even more because I just didn't want it to look like silly, just kind of sticking out. So this hairstyle is so easy. I'm just doing the same thing on the other side. But since this is a braid out, you want to be careful when doing these two ponytails because it can be easy to lose definition in the front. I wrapped it around about 4 times, making sure it's not too tight. This looks pretty good, but I ended up going back and adding 2 bobby pins on each ponytail. Now that my braid out is done being styled, this is pretty much when I go back and look for really chunky pieces to separate them and make sure that my parts are hidden as well. The good thing about braid outs is that as long as you take your hair out once it's dry, you could pretty much control how much frizz you want, how much volume you want. As you probably already know, it just depends on how much you fluff and how much you separate your hair. If I wanted my braid out to last a whole week, I would have fluffed a bit less. But since I'm going somewhere, I fluffed some more. Using my handy dandy edge control brush, I just used some edge control and started all my edges. I just like to do a few little swoops. As you can see, like I said, you guys, in hindsight, I wish I didn't use this edge control because it just left me with pimples all over my forehead like a few days after, but it did work really well. So feel free to comment down below your favorite edge control, or comment down below if you do your edges or not. Some people love to do them, some people do them very exaggerated, and then some people just don't do them at all. So it's really up to you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Lately I've been using Wetline Extreme Gel for my edges, but I want to go back to using a nice edge control just because I do see the difference of how much shinier it is and how much it holds better when I use an actual edge control. Alright, tell me what you think, you guys. Let me know. Like the video, comment down below. These are my results. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.